Hey there, everyone. It's Barrett Royce, your AI coach for nonprofit professionals. And thank you for showing up today. This is our first live session where we're going to get a chance to share the vision that we have, not only for your cause, but for all nonprofits and charities and foundations and churches, those that are just cause focused. We want to be able to bring about the vision of bringing AI tools to bear for your benefit. And so let's get into it. As we think about, um, every organization being able to just fully leverage the AI tools to benefit your cause. And, that all begins with kind of getting a vision for what AI can actually do within your organization. But let's zoom back out to like 30,000 feet. And I really believe that AI tools have a potential to save time. Now, of course, when we talk about saving time, we don't get to save time like we save $10 or $100 or $1,000. We don't get to store it away in the bank and then like pull it out later. That's just not how time works. It ticks on every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every month, every year. But if we think about that saving time as reallocating and having choice to be able to move our choices and our time into activities that are more strategic and creative and life-giving, perhaps. And so you'll see there, I love the idea of being able to use tools to reduce stress. I know that some of you out there are working consistently 45, 50, 55, 60 hours a week towards the cause that you care about. And so one of my desires is to help you leverage these tools so that you can reduce stress. And then as time goes along, be able to reallocate time from the mundane and the repetitive to the more strategic and creative. And then finally, big vision is that every one of your team members has at least one highly trained AI intern. And we'll dig into a little bit more about what that looks like as we go along. So really quickly, why do I care? I've been in the youth development space specifically for 35 years. I've worked for a variety of different organizations over the years. Most of them, I would say, teams, under 10. So I've been more on the smaller side, but a variety of organizations from community-based to a church to another youth development organization, as well as actually selling software to nonprofits in the donor development space. And so I've definitely had the opportunity to wear a lot of the different hats. And what I've noticed is that whether you're at a charity, a church, a foundation, most people are wearing more than one hat, two or more, maybe three, maybe four. And what does that look like? I definitely remember as an executive director showing up one morning and making calls to donors, both outreach in hopes that they would join us as donors, but also thanking those that had given, and then turning around and dealing with some payroll issues, and then turning around and helping facilitate a board meeting. So I know that throughout the day there's this code switching and hat switching that takes place. And the reality is cause work is both simultaneously life-giving and hard. It's complex, usually because of those multiple hats that are being worn. And so that's part of the vision of bringing AI tools to bear on behalf of you and your role and your cause. And so what does that look like? What is the delivery system? How are we going to get you and your team and other cause focused organizations from where they are now to where they may be able to leverage tools in a way that's really powerful? And so it's really kind of a fourfold piece, of which we'll dig more deeply into, but education, building a community of folks that can support one another, accountability, not just allowing folks to come in and learn more, but actually using those skills, developing the muscles that will allow us to be more effective. And then, of course, various levels of support that wrap around the education, that wrap around the community, that wrap around the accountability as well. So a couple things that I believe that I think are helpful to kind of shape the vision that I have specifically, and that the team that's building is having, and that is that integrating AI into your organization, into the daily work that you're doing, the weekly work, the monthly work, is a helpful and worthy investment. And it's a worthy investment of your time, of your talent, of your treasure, and your ties. Now, this is kind of classic nonprofit speak. Maybe not for you, but for me, time, talent, and treasure has always been that conversation having with every donor. And then ties is the network. And so, real quickly, AI integration is worth your time. It's worth plotting and thinking through how to make those integrations. And then also unleashing the talent of your organization and getting more clear on each individual team member's kind of zone of genius, so that by reducing the amount of tedious and repetitive work, we're able to unleash the talent that you already have in house. And of course, treasure, there's going to be some money that needs to be invested, whether it's the training side, whether it's the actual tools. And so as you go into your next budget cycle, begin thinking about how you can reallocate some of the monies that you already have towards making sure that people get onboarded. And then, of course, your ties. Let your board know, let your advisory group know, let your donors know that you are on a path, on a journey to integrating AI. And you never know. The folks that are in and around you might be, as my pastor used to say, coming from where you're going. They're a business owner that has been integrating AI for years, and they can come alongside you and help you. All right. And so when we talk about that kind of saving time or recapturing time, the vision belief there is that time can be captured and reallocated and pushed in a different direction. And again, in my mind, it's all about more strategic, more creative, more life-giving. Another belief is that organizations will thrive when team members are refocused on higher order activities, right? Again, strategic, creative, life-giving. Imagine your team thriving because the time has been reduced in some of those areas that are just a drag, but have been kind of unleashed in areas where their zone of genius can really take place. And then finally, a vision belief is that a good result in your organization would be that by implementing AI tools, you would be able to recapture and reallocate at least 5 hours a week of your time. And a better result would be 10 hours, right? 10 hours a week reallocated. Again, for some of you, that means like, whew, okay, I could work 5 hours less because I'm working way overtime, and I could reallocate 5 of those hours towards more strategic, creative activities. But a best result, in my mind, would be 15 hours a week. Now, there are some that have a vision out there that I'll introduce you to as you stay in touch with Fail-Proof Academy and our YouTube channel, that there's a guy out there, AI Surfer. He thinks 10% us, 90% AI, right? So talk about a stretch. I don't even know what to call that. Good, better, best, amazing, and infinity and beyond, right? I don't know what to call that, but those are some of the vision beliefs that we have. And so going back to that delivery system, the power of the four-legged stool, the education, the community, the accountability, and the support. And so the education will come in the form of workshops. I'd love to be hosting monthly, weekly workshops that are tailored perhaps to the different roles. So we got the ability to tailor education to the tools, but I really want to put more of my focus really on the front end as far as bringing people on board with being able to train the AI and start to learn the language of being able to speak to AI so that it really becomes high leverage activity. The community is all about being able to create all sorts of different clusters. I've worn all the hats: the executive director, the development director, the program director, the operations director, right? But imagine being in a cohort within the Fail-Proof Academy where you're able to speak directly to people who are living in your world every day, right? So whether it's writing communications or whether it's supporting the people internally, those are all different roles and hats that we have to put on. And so what I'm imagining is that not only is there a big fail-proof community, but there are internal communities that are role-based or different levels, right? We got a 101 group, a 101 level group that are just getting on started, but we got 200 level folks, 300 level folks, right? Folks that are starting to, write programs and use vibe coding programs to build tools to meet specific needs, right? And the accountability is all about making sure that we move forward. This is not just a come and learn, but it is a come and learn, learn and do, learn and do, learn and do, and look for ways to just implement inside your organization. And then finally, that fourth, stool leg is support. And that DWI and DFY is kind of a, two different ways to think of that. The done with you and done for you. Now, I can imagine over time that there'll be organizations that would appreciate some implementation consulting for our team to come in and come alongside and kind of I don't know, march or shepherd, I guess would be a good word, shepherd you all through, your team through a process, through the journey. Perhaps like a Sherpa, helps people go up Mount Everest and other mountains, right? The Sherpa knows the territory, knows their limitations, knows how to read the limitations of their client, climber, right? And notice that the Sherpa doesn't control the weather, right? So the weather in this case is that AI tools in the industry are just constantly changing, right? Fail-Proof Academy has no influence over all the different tools and their development and whether they're safe or not. But we can learn together how to navigate, the environment in a really safe and reasonable and ethical way. Right? And so that's really the vision there. And then the done with you is what I really think is probably more likely, right? Because your cause the best, right? As you think about your team, you have probably decades of knowledge and understanding and wisdom of your client, of your cause, of the problems that you're solving. And so the done with you is all about coming alongside you, kind of side by side and journeying together to help you implement the tools. So that's the power of the four-legged tool. So I've got two calls to action for you today. The first one, they actually both start with get curious. So get curious about AI in your organization. So what does that look like? You can see some of the examples there. My suggestion is some face-to-face meetups. And I would suggest one-on-one or maybe one-on-two. And that's just to make sure that everybody gets a voice, right? And just having some one-on-one conversations for 10 or 15 minutes and not like official, sit down, come into my office, but maybe like go to their desk or pull them out for coffee or grab a lunch or whatever it takes to kind of lower some of the guards so that you can say, hey, how are you using, are you using AI? Have you played with it at all in the context of the work that you do with our organization? Yes or no? Let's say it's yes. Yeah, I've dabbled here and there. Have you noticed being able to save any noticeable time? Is there any activity that used to take 30 minutes and now you're able to do it in 10 minutes, right? Have you noticed any of that kind of activity? And so not only have you noticed saving any noticeable time, but how much? And then I think that kind of a key question is which responsibilities do you have in your role for each team member that could be delegated or automated? Kind of probably starts with delegated. In other words, what are those repetitive tasks that if you had an intern or an assistant, could you document a playbook, train that person to run that repeating cycle again and again? If that's possible, if there's something that can be documented as a playbook, as a process, and then delegated to somebody, it's possible we could delegate that to your AI intern. Right? And finally, get curious about the idea of mapping out an integration plan. What are those low-hanging fruit items that you could start utilizing today without a lot of friction, right? An example of that is using some of the tools that are already available to you in the Google Suite or in Zoom, or if you're a Office 365 user, you've got Copilot. There's already some tools that are really just a touch away, and just starting to understand what are they and how close are they and what are some of those activities that you can start to integrate. And then finally, get curious about Fail-Proof Academy. I talked about that four-legged stool of education and accountability and support and community. And come explore our website, come explore the YouTube channel. There's a number of different shorts that are going to be released each week. There's a Tool Tuesday where we'll be kind of looking more at tools, but on the other days, we'll be looking specifically more at process and how can you do that integration journey. And then on Wednesdays, we're going to focus on Wow Wednesday. And the idea there is to go to a little bit of a deep dive in some training topic that's it's not about the tool, it's about how can we use the tool to meet a specific need. And so the idea is to start building up a library of essentially mini education videos that you can use within your team to actually begin using the tools that are already available out there within your organization, within your needs. And then Friday, we're going to plan to go live. We'll review the week. We'll invite you in. We'd love to, make that a community space time where there's an opportunity to Q&A. And that's not just Q&A me. I'll bring in other individuals from the industry, perhaps in industry-specific people like development directors, like CEOs, like operation directors, so that they can kind of speak to like how are they integrating AI in their role within their organization. And so please join us. Get curious about the website, about the YouTube channel. And then finally, consider being a part of one of our upcoming 1.5 day challenges. So what in the world is a 1.5 day challenge? Day one will be about 3 hours. We're going to go fast and hard into some specific integration topics, kind of like the Wow Wednesdays. We're just going to do wow, 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 wow. We're just going to pack it all in. And then there'll be some Q&A time. And then the half day is just the day following, office hours. Just going to invite everybody back to reflect on, how did some of the exercises go for you? Which ones do you think you could imagine using within the next, 1 to 3 weeks? Which ones do you feel like, oh man, that needs more explanation? We need to know more. And as time goes along, as we build the 1.5 day challenge, we'll probably host one at least once a month, if not twice a month. And it'll be an opportunity to keep showing up. Even if you're part of the community and have attended a challenge, the tools keep changing and our ability to integrate will change as well. So the 1.5 day challenge is all about practical education, real world solutions. And so I encourage you to be a part of that. Hey, thank you for being a part of today's deal. This was just an opportunity to zoom way out and just share the big picture vision of, again, making sure that every one of your employees has at least one AI intern, highly trained around your cause. It uses your language, your brand colors whenever it generates, a social post or an image of any type. Like, it knows your organization because you've trained it, you've introduced it. Just the same way, if I was a new employee at your organization, that slowly but surely you would integrate me and bring me on board. We're going to do exactly the same thing with these AI tools, and you're going to be able to leverage them to capture time and reallocate it to other higher order activities. So thank you for being a part of the day. May you have an outstanding rest of your day and week, and I look forward to seeing you inside of the Fail Proof Academy. Take care.